everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name's Tim Cammisa of troutandfeather.com. We are doing a live. This is YouTube Live. It is Tuesday night, middle of July, summer 2025. I'm going to kind of slow roll the beginning as more and more people get into the live. I just got the notification, so I'm sure people are going to start popping in just one moment, but I'll try to set this up. I'll try to only set this up 2 times. So this is kind of part 3 of this like little 3-part live. I plan on doing a few more lives this summer and into the fall. I really enjoy doing these YouTube lives. It allows me to connect with many of you, though the quality of the video, I'm not sure how the video is going. I'm not sure how the audio is going compared to my real YouTube videos. But whenever I have those videos up and rolling, I have thousands of dollars of cameras and lenses and microphones and all that, versus this just allows me to pop on my cell phone and get things kind of rolling. Hey, Roger, welcome, man. So let's kind of talk about, hello, Chris. Let's kind of talk about what we're trying to accomplish today for this live. This is part 3 of, we'll call this a 3-part series. Hello, Helena. So for my live 2 nights ago, Sunday night, I decided, hey, I'm going to be, fishing in a couple, destinations over the next 3 weeks, including Iceland and Alaska. And I have a couple other little trips coming up in the fall. So I'm like, what are some flies that I want to get tied that I'm getting low on? And they are some blowtorches. The blowtorch is just a great pattern. The current version, the current variation I have featured in my newest book, Tying Euronymphs. So let me put one in my vise. I'll do a little zoom in so you can kind of see what this looks like. So Sunday night, or Sunday throughout the afternoon and the evening, I was tying some blowtorch patterns. So let me show you the blowtorch. There's the blowtorch. We got a little glow bright for our hotspot or our tag. There's a piece of mylar tinsel going over the back. We have some UV ice dub. We have some ribbing. We have some CDC, and we have a nice little collar that's on this nice little fulling mill hook, copper tungsten bead, great fly. Everything works wonderful. So I tied a bunch of these. I actually have a really nice high quality video coming out of this fly. I'll be releasing that this fall. I've already recorded it. It'll be great quality for any of you who want a little better camera quality. So that was Sunday night. So then yesterday, we'll call that part 2 of my little YouTube lives. I tied this pattern. And we had a couple things that went down that I did not like. The biggest thing that happened, I said, hey, let's pretend that we are kind of a new fly tyer, someone who's new to this sport. Maybe they don't quite have their dubbing noodles down yet. What could they do instead of creating a dubbing noodle? So what I showed you yesterday on that live was this stuff. So this is synthetic peacock curl by Semperfli versus me creating a dubbing noodle. Hello, Alex. I'm not sure if Jose's here yet. Versus me creating a dubbing noodle yesterday, I took this material, which it's like a peacock chenille, that's what I'll call it. And I use this for the body. Made it really simple. Near the end of the fly, I actually put on a CDC collar. I was talking probably too much instead of tying, and my CDC was a little light, so I put on another layer of CDC. CDC looks great, but as I was kind of looking at the finished fly yesterday, I said to myself, it looks bad. I wouldn't fish it. Some people in the comments, which please comment away today, people were commenting and saying, hey, give that to your neighbor, give that to a friend, which if it's a bad fly, number one, I will never put a fly that just doesn't look right to me, proper proportions, something that I would not have confidence in, that would never go into my box, number one. Because if it's in my box, I'm probably not going to select it. I keep one of my boxes right here. So flies that make my box, that go into this, like these are the flies that I know I'm going to fish. That's number one. Number two, I don't want to ever put out like a bad fly. I would never give that to a neighbor, period. I don't want my name associated with a fly that I wouldn't fish myself. So what I was going to do on the live yesterday was this. I was going to take out my razor blade. I have a bunch of these. I buy these on Amazon. I'm to the point now where I probably have about 3 left that are sharp. I was going to cut everything off and just tie it again, but I changed my mind. I said, hey, let's do this again. I'm going to go live Tuesday night, which is now tonight, and we're going to tie one more version of this fly. I'm going to do everything the same as yesterday, not goof up my CDC collar. But I realized that Semperfli, they also have this synthetic peacock curl in a 1 millimeter versus a 2 millimeter. So it's about half the size. So I'm going to see what that looks like, because my biggest issue with this pattern yesterday was that I feel like the material was just a little too thick. It's going to slow its speed down. And whenever I'm thinking about tying flies, there's a lot of stuff that I care about with the fly: the profile, the size, the color, the movement, and the durability. Those are things that I want out of a fly. This one, it just didn't have everything that I wanted yesterday. So let's kind of shift gears and let's do a little bit of tying tonight. So I'm going to show you one more variation of this blowtorch. Basically, the blowtorch that we all know and love. This is the current version of the blowtorch. So I'll kind of get this set up here in just un momento. But first, let me just do a quick shout out to everybody. Hello, everybody. Now that I'm just done talking and setting this live up, let's do this. You know what I'm going to say. Where are you all from? I know we have a few people from Pennsylvania here. So let me know where you're from. And let's see who else is in here. I know Chris is in here, Helena, Roger, Alex. Who is Fudd? I don't know who Fudd is. Chris, you know Fudd. Lucas. Lucas, you're right. You are right. Lucas said sometimes a less than ideal fly works well on the stream. I just won't fish it. I'm sorry, I just won't. Yeah, and Chris, I know you're in Pennsylvania. Helena, if you're still here, Pennsylvania. Alex, you're in Florida now. I like that you're saying by way of New York. All right, well, let's start this up while people are dropping in the chat where they're from, and then we'll do a little back and forth here in a bit. The hook that I'm tying on this is a fulling mill hook. The hook is called their Jig Force Short. It's a size 16. That's the fulling mill hook that I'm going with, somewhere around a 3.2 millimeter slotted tungsten bead. The color's copper. Somebody asked me yesterday, do I just like copper? Like, no, I love silver. I love matte black. Those are some of my favorites. I'm using some Semperfli Nano Silk. This is my favorite thread. It is 12/0. As I like to demonstrate with my videos, Renomed scissors, they're the best. As I like to demo in my videos, this is 12/0 thread, and you can see I'm bending this hook. This stuff is awesome. Here, I'll zoom in just to show this off. By the way, I'm a Semperfli ambassador too. Somebody told me that it's tough to see the hook because of the comments. So I think you may have to touch the screen. The comments will disappear. I'm sure I could move my lens somehow. I'm pretty technological, but I can't do that. I'll zoom into there. Hopefully that's better. All right, first thing first. I don't like to have too much movement in my bead. So I'm just going to build up a quick little thread dam. I prefer to use 18/0 Nano Silk in nearly all my flies, but whenever I'm tying with larger tungsten beads, the 12/0 just builds up a little quicker and it will seal everything in place. So I have that locked in place. It's going to wind down the ramp, get to about where the hook point is, a couple turns in closer to where the barb would be, and I'm going to add my tag, basically my hotspot. For my tag, this is the stuff I'm using. This is another Semperfli product. It's called Fluoro Bright. It's basically 3/0 high vis fluorescent thread. Take a look at this stuff. I'm going to hit it with a UV torch. Try this at home with your stuff. If they say it's UV, it should glow like that. You don't want to look at it when it looks that hot. I mean, that's what it should look like. I have some other like fluorescent colors. Let me see if any of this stuff glows. That definitely glows. So that one does. Let's see what else I have here. Here's just my Mylar tinsel. Will it glow? Just reflects light. So no, it's definitely not glowing. Trying to see if I have any other nice colors around that I could show you right off the top of my. Oh, here's some. Ooh, let's try this. This is some egg static yarn for some egg flies. This is a secret. I don't think I tell many people about this, but let's see if it glows. No, I'm not really. It's just white, just reflecting light. And I have some stuff over here. Let's see if this will light up. Ooh, so this is some Semperfli. This is called their competition chenille, and it has these magic letters. They are UV. Let's see if they're really UV. Oh, these are UV. These are like burning my eyes. Those two colors, orange and chartreuse, burning my eyes. Blue is not. Green is not. These two definitely are. And these two at the bottom, they're not. So I'm not saying they're not, but these four are the ones. So am I saying you should go into your fly shop with a UV light before buying products? I don't know. I don't, but you might want to. All right, let's get back to our tag. So this material, we know it will just burn your retinas. I'm just going to cut a little piece of this. So I'm just cutting thread here. I'm going for around 4 strands of thread for my tag. So what I just did here, I'm just taking a strand of thread, I'm doubling it over. I'm going to put it on your side of the thread, and I'm going to fold it around the thread. So now whenever I wind my thread around, lock it in place going back, I have 4 strands of thread going out the rear. That's what I'm going for. To trim it, I like to trim it right around that bend. If Devin Olson was here, he would trim right inside the bend. There are times that I like to let it go a little bit longer, but you're not looking for this giant blowtorch tag. I've seen people tie them as long as the length of the hook shank, and it's worked for them. So you kind of go with what works for you. All right, let me pause and see what else is going back there. Oh, I met him at Seven Springs. I did not know that. Oh, Chris, I think I know exactly who that is. Oh, Alex, I hope you get back to the symposium, buddy, or I see you at another show. It's getting old making videos about you when you're not even there. Lucas, I'm in Minnesota. It stunk in my eyes, but it fished great. Oh, well, it was a good pattern. You just messed it up, man. Come on, Lucas. Off the Hook Outdoors is in the house. Doug is in Minnesota. Dang, I don't know if I've ever fished Minnesota, Doug. You better invite me out there. And thank you for the email, Doug. I appreciate it. All right, let's get back to this. All right, next step. So I have my tag. I'm going to tie in a piece of copper wire. This is 0.2 millimeter copper wire. This is going to be the ribbing. So it's going to lash that in. And then this piece is a little funky, just like that. I'm just going to wind up basically up to the bead because I don't want to make some uneven wraps and cause my body to get too off kilter. Next, I'm going to grab a piece of this tinsel. The color is pearl. So I'm just grabbing a piece of pearl tinsel. This is the piece I've been tying with over the last few days. Tied about a dozen of these. Let me lock that in place. I'm just going to lock it in place on top of the hook shank. Better do a pinch wrap there. It is not liking me. All right, and if you notice what I just did there, I'm trying my best to do a little bit of education in here. As I wound it in place, I locked it in place with the pinch wrap, and I don't want to leave it long over the bead because if I leave it long, I have to pick up my scissors and trim it. I don't want to have to do that. So what I did, I just kind of, I did that pinch wrap and I had 1 or 2 loose wraps, and then I just pulled it so the tag end is all but sealed under my thread wraps, and now I'm just winding back. So now I have my wire and my tinsel locked in place, and now we're going to change the material. So again, if you remember yesterday, I used this 2 millimeter synthetic peacock herl. The color's green peacock. This stuff is really, really nice. It was just too thick for my liking. So today we're going to try the 1 millimeter. We're going to see if I'm going to be complaining to Semperfli after this live. I sure hope not. They are awesome. All right, now if you remember what happened yesterday, I'm curious. If you were in my live yesterday, just comment real quick. Say that you were there, and maybe you remember what I did to lock this in place, because I definitely do. This is part of my reflective process in fly tying. So yesterday, before I went to lock this in place, like most chenilles, what I prefer to do with all those excess fibers, I want to get down to the core. So I just take my fingernail and I'm removing some of that extra stuff. But if you remember yesterday, it took a long time. I did like 4 or 5 of these, and that stuff did not come off. So versus me just really bearing down, I just stopped. I think I got lazy. And instead what I did, I just took the whole piece and I set it on the hook shank and I wound down and wound. By doing that yesterday, I was also helping to bulk up the body unintentionally. Sometimes you want to do that. On certain streamers, I'm okay with creating a larger profile. So what I did today, I took my time. You can see now I was able to strip all that excess material off of this. Now I'm going to lock it in place. Wind forward. You can see there is a little bit of excess there. Not sure if you're able to see that with me wearing this navy hoodie. All right, now I'm at my bead. Immediately, no matter what, it's going to be more slender this time. There's no doubt about it. So let's wind forward. Unlike with the larger one, it's going to be a little tougher for me to control these fibers. It looks 1,000 times better. I am loving this already. I'm going to back that off. Let me see what it looks like on your side. I can go one more. Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not crowding the bead with this. I want to have just a little bit more space at the end for just a touch of dubbing. All right, 3 to wrap it in place. Look how easy that was. Um, this looks a million times better. So Semperfli, if you are listening, you got my endorsement, even though you already had it. The 1mm worked great on a size 16. I probably could use this on their size 18. If I was going with a size 14 hook, I might use this or I might jump up to that 2mm, but I'd have to kind of figure it out. All right, now this is pretty easy. I'm going to take my tinsel, bring it over the rear, bring it straight down the back, lock it in place with 2 or 3 thread wraps, 1 in front, get that out of there, save that, probably get 1 more fly out of there. Yeah, Fudd, I'm with you. I am definitely with you. Hi, James. How's it going, man? Ribbing. I'm going to counter rib this wire. This is probably going to be the last fly I'm going to tie with this wire. I'm going to have to cut a new piece later. Typically, whenever I rib this size fly, I'm getting around 3 or 4 turns. This piece of ribbing is just a little shorter than I like. So I'm just going to grab my hackle pliers to use this, aka my cheaters. These are my Stonfo, they're called the spring hackle plier. They are really, really nice. If you're looking for a new pair of hackle pliers, let me know. This is the pair to get. All right, 1, 2. I'm going with my counter rib, and I'm looking for approximately 4 turns up to the bead. I got it. Once I get up to the bead, I'm going to go 1 over, 1 in front of the wire. I'm going to do 2 really firm ones over, 1 in front, and pull down. As I pull down with my thread, you can see my hook point will just go down. My hook eye is going to go down. And now I'm just going to, in a counterclockwise direction, helicopter that wire away. Just pinched away. It is really, really good. All right, let me pause for 1 second. Roger, rotary nearly always looks better. I agree with you. The one reason I don't do it is because I prefer to palmer my materials as I wind them forward. So that's with marabou, with hackles. Whenever I was even using that synthetic peacock curl yesterday, and by palmering, that means I'm grabbing onto those excess fibers and I'm stroking them in the direction of the tail. So I like to palmer with each wrap. It's a little bit more difficult to do that when you're using the rotary feature. So whenever you're using the material like this, that you can see I did not palmer it. I probably should have done it. This new Rambler vise does have a nice little, what am I trying to say? A thread rest for using that technique. So thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let me keep going. Oh, what did you just do, Alex? Hey, everyone, let's hit that like button. Oh, Alex, you did not have to pay me money for this. Come on, bud. Can I like that? Alex, I gave it a heart. Oh my gosh. This is the first time I've ever done that. Hold on. You guys see my face for this, Alex. Thank you. Even though I think I'm worth more than $2, aren't I, man? Wow. Man, Alex. Kidding. You're the man. All right, anyway, let's get back to this. Lucas, you're right. All right. So now we're nearing the end. So I'm going to grab a piece of CDC. Alex has some of my CDC. He told me this. So I have a beautiful piece of natural CDC. And what I want to do is create a nice little CDC collar with this. You do not have to use CDC. You can use Hungarian partridge. You can use some hen hackle. You can use whatever fibers you have. You can have, I'm not saying you should have birds from around your house, but you could. There are lots of great birds like starling as well, woodcock, grouse, pheasant. There are lots of soft hackles out there. I like CDC. This is also what Devin calls for. I'm going to use it. So I'm going to take the CDC. I'm going to place it into my CDC block. I'm going to grab it by the tips and by the butt section. I'm going to place it in my second or third one. This one went to the third. So this is a really nice piece of CDC. And what it just did there, I'll try my best to demonstrate this. So we have our piece of CDC with all those little fibers out on each, the left and the right side. I stroked them so they would go out as 90 degrees as possible. And then whenever I pushed them down into this block, it took those feathers, I put it down by the stem and it made them go straight up. So now I basically doubled up my fibers. By doing that, I can grab onto them with a pair of bulldog clips. So I'm just going to come in with my bulldog clips, grab them. I like when I make sound effects. Pull them out, and now you can see I'm holding on to them with the clips. I'm holding on to all those little fibers with the clips, and the stem is exposed along the top. I'm going to zoom in for that. Let's see if you can see this a little better. So take a look at the way that is. This, it kind of looks whenever I'm looking on the camera like it's slanting down. I think it's just because of the way this feather goes. I don't think I got all the fibers at the tips. That's okay. This one you can see is just loaded with fibers. Now I'm just going to take my scissors. I'm going to trim along that stem, make it as even as possible. Ooh, this looks nice. There's some of these that are a little bit more, a little whiter. I just grab them and pull them out. There's all my CDC fibers. They are just ready to get grabbed. Okay. Before I create my dubbing loop, let me answer some questions. Let's see what else we've got in there. Doug, I've read that trout lose their UV. Yes, I agree 100%, Doug. I've read that as well. There's research that's been done on that. I also interviewed Lance Egan for my newest book, and in that book, I believe it was Lance that told a story where it was either Lance or Devin, where he was fishing with a friend. They were on a still water, and they were throwing the exact same length cast, fishing the same spots, fishing the identical fly, and Lance's fly did not have UV, and his buddy's did, and his buddy was like tripling his catch rate. And finally, Lance said, "Let me have that fly," which was the same fly but with UV. He used it. He instantly caught up to his friend, catching that many more fish. That's one story. The second story, there's an angler in central Pennsylvania. His name's Pat Weiss. He's a member of the Fly Fishing Team USA. He was on the world's team for many years. I don't believe he traveled with them this year. Pat is he's a fish hunter. I'll say it that way. He's a trout hunter. They should have named that website after him. He believes in UV. The quote that I used in my book when I interviewed Pat was something like what I said with this. When he hits some of his flies with his UV torch, he believes it should burn your retina. And I believe Pat is the one that he actually has liquid UV, and he soaks his materials in this, and he dyes them in UV or whatever that process is. I've never done that. So if Lance Egan and Pat are at least saying if something's more UV than not, they're doing it, I'm going to as well. Again, and Doug, this goes back to confidence. If you have more confidence in the fly, you're probably going to catch more fish on it. They have confidence in it. Hopefully I answered your question. Don't you like this about the lives? I can immediately answer these comments. On the videos, I get too many comments on all my YouTube videos. I can't answer them anymore like I used to be able to. I can always answer an email. So if any of you are watching this live after the fact and you have a question that you're putting on my YouTube video, I might see it, I might answer it. But if you go to my website, troutandfeather.com, click the contact button, send me an email. My email address is listed there. I will get back to that email. I promise you. All right, let's do a couple more things. Next, I'm going to grab my, ooh, look at that. I got some thread on there from earlier today. We are going to create a little dubbing loop. Let me get that excess thread out of there. There we go. All right, to create a dubbing loop. Pretty darn simple technique here. There's two pinchers that are on the end. I'm going to take those pinchers, pinch the thread, pull it in a direction. I'm pulling it from my right to my left. Bring the thread over. One thread wrap in front, one over, one again in the front. So I had 3 thread wraps there. Now I've created a little dubbing loop. I'm going to take my CDC fibers, place them into that loop, and pull the loop tight. I want to make sure they're as even as possible. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to try to cover my mouth when I talk, because if I don't, and if I blow on these fibers, they're going to go all over the place, which is what happened yesterday. Now at this point, I'm going to try to instruct here. Let me lift that up. Ooh, my bodkin is somewhere else, so I'm going to use my scissors. From this point to that point, that little gap, that's approximately 2 thread turns. Does that matter? It does to me. I don't want to make 2 thread turns without any CDC in place. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take these fibers and slide them towards my fly. I want to make sure the butt ends are not sticking out too far. Just going to adjust those just a little bit. You just push them from this section. And now that I have them locked in place, it's going to create my CDC. Oh my gosh, this looks wonderful. Now I have this all locked in place now in my dubbing loop. As I wind, I'm going to, again, stroke those fibers towards the rear, like I'm palmering them. I should be able to make 2 turns. There's my second turn. Let me lock that in place. This one looks awesome. That was a great piece of CDC. So I made my 3 turns to lock in my dubbing loop. I wound it twice, 3 turns to lock that in place at the end. So I can do quick math. That's 8. That is not much at all. I put 1 more in front of it, and I just pulled the whole way down. I could feel it hit the hook shank there. I take my scissors, run them down that thread so I don't cut too much of that CDC. And now I just need to find a little piece of dubbing. I always have some dubbing somewhere around my fly tying bench. Here's some black UV, some black ice dubbing. I'm just gonna create a little bit of a dubbing noodle, just enough for around 2 turns. That's really all I'm going for. I created it down here. I'm just gonna slide it up. And I wanna really do my best to make sure I'm just creating a collar. There's one, there's the second time. Oh, it looks nice. Okay, let me just extend my bobbin. Let's get 2 or 3 turns for my whip finish. More than likely, that is going to hold it. But let's just get a little bit of super glue in there just to verify things. You could probably just turn and wind it a few more turns. But I am a stickler. I'm just going to do another 2-turn whip finish. That is more than enough. Let's trim that. Now, this fly is not what I would consider finished yet. I think my CDC is still just a little long. If I can see it on this camera, that's a little bit too long there. Doug, hopefully you can click away so those comments disappear. I don't think mine will. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to push down on these CDC fibers with my right hand, come in with my left hand, just get those out of there. Just going to pinch them. I don't want to pinch them all at the same spot. You want to have them varying lengths. You don't want them exactly perfect. That's not what I'm going for. There we go. There is my finished blowtorch. As I mentioned earlier, I will have a true Tim Cammisa fly tying video posted in the fall with this fly. Now let's go back to this. What do I think? Do I like this one better than the one I tied yesterday? 100%. Looking at the two of those, yesterday's was definitely just a little bit thicker. Not a bunch, but enough to say that once this live is over, I'm going to be using the razor blade on it. So this one's going to be gone. What about the dubbed version? As I look at the dubbed version, my dubbed versions, let me just going to grab a random 3. They are all significantly finer than this one. Every single one of them. So now, what does this mean? It's very simple. As I move forward with this fly, will I recommend to others, if you're not comfortable with the dubbing noodle, to use synthetic peacock? Yes, use it. Go with the 1 millimeter size. That's what to go with. However, me personally, if you see me tying this fly in the future, I'm going to be using dubbing. I'm going to use a dubbing noodle for the body. I can just create a finer body, and I can really take that body material and I can just condense it, just really put some pressure on it with my ribbing material to make it that much more slender, which means it's going to dive into the column just a little bit faster, get down to where I want this fly to be. I don't want this dredging the bottom. I just want it to be, wherever those fish are for that period of time. All right, so with that said, let me see what comments I missed. If you have any questions, please comment or question right now, because I'm going to end this live. When it gets to the end, I just turn this sucker off. So if you have any comments or questions, throw them out now. Lucas, I agree. I think it works. Alex, thank you for that. I appreciate it, Alex. I have a couple more new merch things coming out very, very soon. Chris, yeah, I'm going to be using this in Iceland. I caught a couple pigs on blow torches when I was just there. So I'm going to use them. I'm going to use that one fly that you and I both know as well. Lucas, great question. He asked, why not a thread splitter, especially with this 12-aught thread? This is a great one to just use that split thread technique. I don't use it a ton. I prefer the dubbing loop method. And I think it's going to be a goal of mine in the next year to use the split thread technique. I used to use it like that was my only technique, especially whenever you have a nice bobbin that could spin and cord or uncord. But I've stopped using it. So look at you, Lucas, calling me out. So in short, I like your idea. I'm just more comfortable with this one for now. Let's see where I am next year. Alex, I'll send it to you, bud. Remind me of your address. the $2 fly. Jerry, what's a fly you use to tie and fish all the time that you haven't used for a long time but might revisit? Oh gosh, Jerry, I hate questions like this. Um, let's see. Let me think about some of my favorite flies whenever I was younger. I used to love to fish a white woolly bugger. It was with a white marabou tail, white chenille, and it had grizzly hackle. I think on my next live, either tomorrow or Thursday, I'm going to be tying some thin mints for some trips. The thin mint is just a great streamer. I haven't fished that in a while, so maybe I'll throw in a couple of those white ones with grizzly. Maybe that would be the white woolly bugger. That's going to be the one. That's the one I'll say I haven't used that way too long, and I should revisit. Doug, grab the fibers at one end of the clip to enable placing them in your loop next to your hook. I'm not sure what you mean there, Doug. Let me read that one more time. Grab the fibers at one end of the clip to enable placing them in your loop next to the hook. Okay, I think I see what you're saying. I think what Doug is saying is whenever you grab onto your CDC, try your best to just push them to one end of it. I think the issue with that, Doug, and I'd have to go back and try this again, is whenever I do go to put these in place, it just doesn't always line up perfectly that I can jam it that close to my fly, I think. But if you're saying that maybe you have done it successfully, maybe you use a little bit more of a finer bulldog clip than I have. I have three of these, so I gotta find my other ones, and then I'll try that out next time, Doug. I appreciate it. Look at you solving problems as we go. What else we got? FUD color variations. Whatever colors you typically use. I mean, think about the colors that you use on the waters you fish. I love to use hare's ear, for my body. I will also use a grayish, like gray with a little purple or a little bit of that UV purple in it. I love that version. Somebody yesterday said another color version that I don't remember, but those are my main ones. This peacock, I think this is the one though. This is what catches fish for me everywhere. Alex, will I be doing a live with the woolly bugger? No, not really. Maybe a jig bugger. I don't tie the traditional woolly bugger anymore. Helena, is it going to be around the same time? I don't know, Helena. Helena, it really comes down to after I put my children to bed. And it's summertime and that process gets later and later. So we will see. I don't plan on doing these lives forever. This is just, I have some extra time right now for the next couple days, and that's what I'm going to do. Lucas, you're welcome, Lucas. I really appreciate it, man. I was supposed to go fishing tomorrow night, but the river rose, so I'm not going tomorrow night. I got to go to a lake instead, so I'll let you know how that goes. That's why I probably won't be live tomorrow. And Chadwick's, that's a good call. So you're using the 477 substitute. Let's see if I have it close by so I can show people what it is. Good call, Alex. No, I don't think I have. Oh, yeah. There's a fact. Am I addicted to it or what? So what he is saying is to use this material. This is called Chadwick's 477. I have like 6 of these. I am addicted to this stuff. It's a wool substitute that was known for tying one of Frank Sawyer's famous flies. There are so many different bugs you can tie with this. So the question I would have, Alex, how many strands are you going for? Because I think this is a 3-strand material. Yeah, I think it's 3. So are you going with 2 strands or just 1? Which I'm sure it just varies. But this Chadwick's 477, I love this one. One of my Waltz worms. This is like my go-to material. Sometimes people look at my box and like, I love that color, and I don't always tell them that it's this. Oh, you're going thin, then. Awesome, man. All right, you're welcome, Roger. I can't wait to see the picture. I haven't been able to check my text with my kiddos reading some books. All right, but with that said, everybody, this is the end of the road. Look at you guys tonight. You gave me 10 thumbs ups. I expected more than 9 yesterday. I think I had 8 or 9, so we gained 1. So thank you for those of you who clicked the thumbs up. Did somebody just take away their thumbs up? It was 10, it went to 9. Did you see that? Were any of you watching that? Look at the drama of my YouTube lives. I'm losing thumbs ups as I go. All right, guys. You crack me up. I hope everything's going well with you. I hope you're out fishing. If you were tying along, send me a picture of your fly. Text it to me or post it or something and tag me. I will share any of them to my stories if you were tying or whatever. You know how that goes. All right, y'all. You have a great night. I will see you on the next live, maybe Thursday night. We'll plan on it then. Later.